Okay, this month we're going to be working on this block here, and it's kind of our center unit. There we go. We are going to be making 4 of these, and then when we put them all together, we have like the center medallion of our quilt. So a lot of pieces in this one. Pay close attention when you're cutting everything out. You want to be as accurate as possible just because there are so many parts. But we are going to assemble this in our sections. We're going to do all of our flying geese units first. We have lots of them in here. And then we're going to do like a little stitch and flip corner for a couple of the units. And then we'll assemble them in sections. So this section here, 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 we'll have 4 quadrants. We'll put those together to create our block. And again, we're going to be making 4 of these blocks. So let's get started. Okay, so to do the stitch and flip, we are going to have our pieces here. And I see I've got one cut wrong, so I am going to recut another piece. Okay, for the stitch and flip, we are going to have 2 of our rectangular pieces and 2 of our square pieces. And we are going to draw diagonal lines on the back of our square pieces, but we're going to do these as mirror images. So on half of the pieces, we are going to draw a line from the top right corner to the bottom left. So it's going this way on our unit. And on the other units that are left, that line is going to go from the top left to the bottom right as it's on our unit. So I don't know if you can see those very good. They're going to be mirror images. Okay, and then we're going to stitch right on that line. Okay. Okay, we'll do a little check. That's folds back okay. This one folds back okay. So then we're going to clip off the extra and press our pieces. So let's do that now. Okay, we've got a bunch of flying geese to do, and within this sections of the block, we're going to be doing some multicolored ones. So I kind of have some of them started, but the most important thing that you can do is take a minute and just make sure that you have the right color combinations together. So with this set, I know that I have this larger navy one, and then it's going to go with some white triangle corners and the gold. Another set is going to have the navy small squares, or white small squares, and then the medium blue larger square. And the last set, a larger navy square, smaller green and gold square. So just make sure you have those grouped accordingly. And then we'll go ahead and line them up, doing 2 colors, or the same color, 2 of the same color per larger square, and so on both sides of the line. So I've got that set done, and I'll start another set. And we'll just line those up. Okay, we'll clip this one off. Flip this around. And then I'll just keep going to get the first round on. We'll cut them and then see where we're at. Okay, I have one set of each done, so you can see that we're going to end up with 2 mirror image sets from each grouping. So we're actually ending up with 4 that look like this, 4 that looks like this, and then same here, these would be the mirror image of this color combination and the mirror image of this color combination. So I'm going to finish sewing these together. And so the most important thing, it doesn't matter which colored squares you start with, they just have to be the same. So you'd pick the 2 of the same color for the first step, and the other color, those 2, finish out the second step. And then that gives us our mirror image flying geese units that we're after. So I'll do a few of these. And then you can just keep going until you have all of your flying geese sets sewn. Cut them, trim them, and then trim them down to the size that we need. And then all of those units will be ready to be put into the block. Okay, what I have done is I've taken one block, or if it's your first block, maybe start with the diagram on your pattern, but I just kind of use a little piece of painter's tape there. I have a wall back there with nothing on it, so I just put my block up there, and that is my reference. I am going to keep referencing the block that I'm working on, that I have laid out and I'm piecing together so that it looks like that, because I want to do 4 of those. And I found it's very helpful just to do one at a time. Take your time, make sure you have everything in its right spot, or you won't get the cool, effect that it's going to do with the colors when we put it all together at the end. So definitely take your time, and let's go ahead and start piecing. And so here, the first thing I'm going to start with is this 4 patch down here. And I'm just going to pick those up right sides together. And we're going to go ahead and start sewing. Okay, and for this block, since there are so many seams, I am going to press it open. Right now, I'll just give it a little finger press. Okay, and that's gonna look really good. And I'm just gonna kind of put that to the side because I know I want to press that. But I'm gonna do some more sewing, then I'll go do the pressing, and then we'll come back and just keep going until our block is together. So I'm just gonna grab sections of 2 within my quadrant. So I know that I have 4 quadrants, and I'm going to work on one at a time. So I'm just going to pick up the first 2 things, line them up. Okay, and stitch them together. Grab the next part of that quadrant and line that one up. Okay, so I'll just leave those underneath there, and then I'm going to go to my next quadrant above that and grab 2 pieces, and we're going to get those sewn together. Okay, now I'm going to clip these off because I know those were part of the first quadrant, so I'm going to stick those there and just keep working, lining everything up. Okay, and grab another part from a different quadrant. Okay, I'm going to take these apart and put them where they went on their quadrant, and then we're going to grab the last one. And stitch this one. Okay, and I'm going to kind of just keep them on my design board in the quadrants that they go to. I'm going to go press everything, press those seams open, and then we'll line it back up and work on the next part. Okay, we've pressed everything open, and now I have my 4 quadrants, each in 2 sections. So now I'm going to go ahead and sew the sections together and complete each little quadrant. And here we want to, and if pinning helps, please go ahead and do that. I'm just going to kind of hold it in place with my fingers as I sew. But definitely want to line up your seams. Okay, and grab the next one. I'm going to match up my seams and my end. Okay, and the last one here, line up that seam and the edge. Okay, and then we'll go press those, and again I'm just going to press everything open. Okay, we're back. We got our 4 quadrants lined up on our board. It matches the same configuration as the one above it. So then I'm just going to sew them together into 2 sections, and then we'll sew those together. Okay, and grab the next one. Get it lined up. All right, let's give that a press and see where we're at. Okay, let's get these 2 sewed together, and then we'll check out our block. So I'm just gonna start by lining up the edges. Okay, looks good. And I'll just give that a quick press. And then we've got 3 more to make so that we have 4 total. And then we'll be able to lay them out and see what our center is going to look like. Okay, I got all 4 of my blocks done, and I kind of went to lay them all out to see how it looked, and guess what? Even with careful planning, I have this one stitched into the block wrong. So the white should be coming out from the center like this one. So I am going to go ahead and take this apart and just be careful clipping through all the little seams. And I'm going to take this out, turn it around, put it back in there. But I'm glad I caught it now before it was, you know, all in the middle of the quilt and everything like that. So just a little tip, even though you're super careful, check it 100 times if you have to make sure it's oriented the right way. For assembly on our center blocks, we have 4 of them laid out, and they're oriented so that the white squares are touching here, and then you can just make a check that the 4 outer corners have the darker blue squares, so we know we've got them lined up right. And then we're just going to put these right sides together and sew them into these 2 rows, and then we'll sew the rows together. So let's go do that now. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and piece these together using a 1/4 inch seam, and I started lined up my edges there. And then I'm just going to take a peek at each of the intersections. Make sure that everything's staying lined up. Okay, let's take a quick peek and see how we did. Looks good. I'm going to keep going. Let's sew the next one together. And just line up those edges. Match some points. And just take your time. Some of these have a lot of seams that we're sewing through. Okay, let's check that one. Looks good. I'm happy with it. All right, I'm going to do a quick press and then we'll sew those 2 pieces together. Okay, I got my 2 halves. I'm ready to join them, but they are a little bit longer and it's kind of heavier and it will drag a little bit. So I am going to, on this seam, go ahead and put a few pins in. Just kind of line up some of those points that I know that I want to match. And then that way, and I'll go a little slower too, just because There's just a lot going on with this one here to get everything to match up. Okay, whoops. Let's give that a try. Okay, let's take a peek at that. Okay, looks pretty good. Things came out very nice.